अगर किसी को कहीं बुरा लगा है तो मैंने ऊपर एक फीडबैक फॉर्म रखा है, जो भी आपको लगा बुरा आप उस पर लिख देना और उस फॉर्म को फोल्ड करके फिर अपने डाल देना, ठीक है?
Samay Raina, I think, sucks. Gen Z in India ultimately is not going to fall in this so-called trap around economy that you have laid. क्या कर रहे हो यार? क्यों कर रहे हो? Hello there, namaskar. You know, folks, today I'm in front of you to speak about a subject which I'm sure many of you at my age would probably be confronted with. We are the typical, middle-aged Indians looking at old age on one hand while looking at our young children on the other and figuring out what's the society, what's the legacy, what's the impact that we're leaving behind. Now, make no mistake, I'm not behaving like a sanskari uncle here. Many of you who saw my interview with Sunny Leone at one point of time perhaps may think that I am some sanskari uncle, but I'm not. I'm as liberal, as upwardly mobile, as city-centric as you may be. But still, despite all that, something happened with me over the last 24 hours, which I thought I must share with you. So what is it that's happened with me over the last 24 hours? This.
10,000 rupees, one solid joke. मैं मुड़ूं जोक में
Samay Raina. I ended up being introduced to comedian Samay Raina. Now, I must admit, I have never seen his shows in entirety, barring the odd clip which has come on my Twitter timeline or some friend of mine who may have shared with me on WhatsApp. I've never ever seen Samay Raina's full clips. I did see an article or two which was written about how these new age Indian comedians, from Tanmay Bhatt to Samay Raina to some of the other people, Ashish Solanki or someone, all these people, how they were becoming the big brand ambassadors of Gen Z. How everyone in that age group of 18 to 30 or maybe even 15 to 30 was completely hooked on to them. So it so happened that just 24 hours back, while Samay Raina was performing in Delhi, a friend of mine insisted that I must go and see what a great comedian Samay Raina is. So first up, I want to clap for Samay Raina. Samay bhai, you rock. You are really good. I have absolutely no doubt on my mind about that. While I have many things to compliment you, I think you are extremely sharp. I think your ability to hold an entire audience, well over 3,000 people in a packed hall at Bharat Mandapam, to regale them for well over 90 minutes, I think something which deserves absolute laudatory exercises. Now, in my business, we also speak extempore. When elections happen, we engage with audiences and we speak to people for all through the day, but we speak with a certain political focus. I can see that you're there to regale people, you have great anecdotes, you have great stories to tell, and there's a certain connect. Those big speakers, the big LEDs which are there in the background, everyone is in a position in which the minus twitch in your facial muscle, that maybe gentle tear which may be rolling down your eye because you want to come across as someone who wants to position himself as a bit of a victim. You want to say sorry without saying sorry. You want to play the victim card without being the victim. Because somewhere, you at the end of the day are a comic. You are a stand-up comedian. And you are just that. And you're pretty good at it. But you know what? You've also positioned yourself as the big brand ambassador of Gen Z. All those people who were there in that hall were in their mid-20s, maybe maximum early 30s. I perhaps was one of the oldest ones in the hall, and I looked around, all around me, and I didn't see too many people who were above, let's say, the age of 50 or 55. Samay bhai, my disagreement with you is that you are trying to legitimize a certain form of abuse which is latent in our society. Let me explain why I feel that in the name of comedy, you're still doing a great disservice to the people. Now, I'm not saying that, you're a politician. I'm not saying that you have some accountability towards the people, but I'm on a simple point that if you want to entertain people, by all means entertain people, and you're a damn good, terrific entertainer. But आपको गाली देने की इतनी क्या जरूरत है? आपको ये माँ की, बहन की, The kind of things that you have said, अगर मैं वो बोलने लगूं तो मेरा चैनल पे ही स्ट्राइक आ जाएगा, इससे मैं बोल नहीं सकता. Still, I want to tell you, Samay, and I want to tell all the people who would be watching this video, that Samay Raina is an outstanding entertainer, but Samay Raina, I think, sucks when it comes to positioning himself as being this big brand ambassador. You say you don't want to be the brand ambassador, but you know that your business is exactly around being that brand ambassador, which is why my problem is with the kind of words, the kind of phraseologies that you have used in this entire video.
अगर गाली खानी ही है तो नागालैंड क्यों, मेरे शो पे ही चलो.
आप खुद सोचिए, when in a hall full of young, upwardly mobile, bright women, when you use the expletives, teri maa ki, teri band ki, this, that, right? And people are clapping, by the way. That's what stood out for me. People were clapping. I want to ask you folks, if this language was used by someone who was a driver in an Uber cab and you were sitting in the rear seat, then how would you have responded? आप कार से बाहर निकलते, you would have given a negative rating to that Uber driver. That poor Uber driver would have been penalized. He would have lost some money, and who knows, maybe he would have lost his job. But here, people are willing to go pay on an average of 2,000 rupees to go listen to Mr. Raina on a Sunday afternoon in the heart of the national capital and clap and applaud and sing and dance and laugh every time Samay Raina would come up with an expletive like that. And that's the purpose of this entire conversation with you all today. In Nepal, Gen Z was supposed to be the body which was raising the political flag. They were upset and they wanted to come out and they wanted to express themselves. And boy, did they express themselves. Look at what happened in Nepal. In Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, when the army decided to get tough with youth protesters, we all saw what happened. It led to regime change. In Sri Lanka, we saw how this Gen Z and youth ended up raiding the presidential palaces because they were upset with the stories of corruption. In our country, because of our economic parameters, maybe, because of the fact that on an average, this upwardly mobile Gen Z generation in this age group that I'm talking about, it would perhaps be the average payout that you're looking at would be anywhere between 50 to 75,000 rupees a month. And all these people would have a credit card with themselves, where the limit of the credit card spending would be around 2.5 lakh rupees a month. So this entire economic landscape of this generation in our country is remarkably vastly different from economic landscape of a similar generation in some other country. So समय भाई, आप ना इस जनरेशन से इस देश में आप एंगेज कर रहे हैं, तो आप जब जिस प्रकार की गाली गलौज, जिस प्रकार की अमर्यादित भाषा का आप प्रयोग कर रहे हैं लोगों को रिझाने के लिए, लोगों को एंटरटेन करने के लिए, मेरे मुताबिक इट्स नॉट एंटरटेनमेंट. आप पता है क्या कर रहे हैं? आप कहीं कहीं तो इन पार्ट्स you're doing a damn good job as I keep applauding you. बट इन अदर पार्ट्स आप जो अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, आप उसको निहायत घटिया, सस्ता, ओछा, ये कार्य आप कर रहे हैं. Why do you want to do that, boss? If you want to talk about masturbation or menstruation, if you want to talk about safety on the roads, if you want to talk about, well, save money or travel abroad, do you really have to tell someone तेरी मां का, तेरी बहन का, तेरा what not? आप जब ऐसा करते हैं तो होता क्या है that it adds to the lingo. Not for a moment am I suggesting that this is not already a part of lingo. It may be a part of lingo, but does it mean that we now bring this lingo in our living rooms, in our private lives as well? Is that being hypocritical? Many would say it's being hypocritical, but I don't think it's being hypocritical. A society works on certain principles. Principles which are, at the end of the day, acknowledged on all sides. There's a certain status quo which is maintained. Why disrupt the status quo? Why are you trying to give the sense, Samay bhai, that unless you abuse, you won't be cool? All the songs, by the way, let me share this with you as well. All the songs which were being played in the run-up to Mr. Raina's show on that big stage with massive speakers all around, all, Hindi rap or English rap, and everything was about violence. Everything was about, it was with the 4-letter expletives. It was about abuses. It was about how you can't lead a life unless you're using abusive language. I've done my business of journalism now for 22, 23 years now. Many would say that journalism is dead. There are legitimate questions which can be raised against journalism, and which is why I always engage with you on this platform. But my point to you, to the viewers as well as to you, Mr. Raina, if you watch this broadcast ever, is that जब आप गाली का प्रयोग करने लगते हैं और आप घटिया गाली का प्रयोग करने लगते हैं, आप घटिया शब्दों का प्रयोग करने लगते हैं, there's a certain linguistic abuse which, let's say, is a part of growing up. If you want to talk about porn, you want to talk about pornography, do you want to make the point that watching porn is normal? Or do you want to make the point that, look, if you're watching this, you better be aware of this as well? What is it that excessive porn consumption can lead to? That's the question which, by the way, I had asked out of Sunny Leone. And where did it lead me? Put me on the front page or the edit page of New York Times. Sunny Leone got herself a movie, she got herself a documentary and whatnot. I'm trying to argue that if you, देखिए आपसे बात करते करते मुझे तो खांसी भी आने लगती है when I'm thinking of these terms. But if you are, Samay, if you are thinking that by saying things like, यार मैं वहाँ गया था, मैंने शराब भी पी ली, मैं वहाँ गया था, मैंने जॉइंट भी लगा लिया, मैंने ये भी कर लिया, वो भी कर लिया, then sir, you are doing a great disservice to your audience. Your audience comes to you, you may have chosen that you are going to lock their phones. By the way, ये भी है. You know how Samay Raina's show is watched now? ये जो phone होता है, इस phone को एक black box में बंद कर दिया जाता है. Then it's sealed so that you can't make any video of Mr. Raina. But still, if that was to happen in a cinema hall, by the way, I wonder how many people would accept that. It will lead to, all kinds of disputes. That poor cinema hall manager would be abused. He would be kicked because people will say, "मैंने तो पैसे दिए हैं. Who the hell are you to put my phone in a sealed basket?" But here, everything is acceptable. That's the kind of hold that Mr. Raina has, and that's the reason why I'm having this chat with you. I think, Mr. Raina, you need to sit with your script writers and you need to tell yourself that, okay, I'm here to entertain, but let me not do things. Let me not do things which will ultimately end up debasing the society. आप जो कर रहे हैं ना, वो आप समाज के debasing का कार्य कर रहे हैं, समझिए। और आप ही नहीं, मैं बड़ा खुश हूं कि वो बियर बाइसेप्स जो है, अब मतलब क्या नाम है बियर बाइसेप्स, उस बेवकूफ आदमी को नेताओं ने जो है कुछ पैसे रुपए के चक्कर में आके उन्होंने उसकी व्यूअरशिप का जरूर उसका फायदा उठाया होगा. बट इफ यू गाइस हैव इंटरनेट नंबर्स विद यू, यूज इट to entertain people, use it to spread a social message and use it to make money. I have absolutely zero problem with that. None of us are in charity business, boss. This is business. हम भी business कर रहे हैं, आप भी business कर रहे हैं. You want to sell products? By all means sell products, right? But don't use abuses. You are asking a live audience, what's your favorite porn be? And you're asking people, okay, वो Japanese porn, ये वो, well, Canadian porn. This is India, भाई साहब. भारत देश है. बड़ी मुश्किल से देश बना है, और ये देश जैसे बना है ना, जिन महान क्रांतिकारियों ने इस देश को बनाया है, जिस भाषा, जिस मिठास, जिस गंगा जमुनी तहजीब को लेकर हम लोग आगे चले हैं, आप उस सबको बर्बाद करने पे तुले हो बॉस. आप अपने आप को कह रहे हैं, यू आर ट्राइंग टू पोजिशन योरसेल्फ एज दिस पर्सन. आप बार बार बोले उस शो में, मैं देखा, ओ यार क्या बोल तो दिया, अरे बियर बाइसेप ने बोल दिया, मेरे पीछे क्यों पड़ गए, अरे उसने कुछ बोल भी दिया तो भी इतना क्या बवाल मचाना, इतना क्या हल्ला मचाना. बवाल इसलिए मच रहा है समय जी, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट यू आर डूइंग. यू आर स्टिल थिंकिंग दैट इट्स ओके टू say something mean, say something nasty, get into a roast and get away with it. People will laugh. When people laugh, people enjoy, people are enjoying that moment, but at the back of their mind, they're also processing, they're also absorbing a lot of what you're giving them. And not all of that is necessarily nice, Samay bhai. That's why it's very important for you to be aware of where you're wrong and where you're right. You were talking about Tanmay Bhatt. What is it? I mean, He's supposed to be the richest YouTuber. You can make money, boss. You can make money the right way. You can make money the wrong way. वो तो drugs बेच के भी आदमी पैसा कमा रहा है ना यहाँ पे. क्या वो करना चाहते हो? Do you want to be the drug? Do you want to be the opium which people are high on? You want to make these arguments? Oh, I smoked this joint. Oh, I said this. Oh, मैंने शराब पी ली, मैंने ये कर लिया, वो कर लिया. Why, boss? Please, go back to the drawing board a bit, Samay. You're a bright guy. You're a very talented guy. I'm happy that I went there to this function, because only when I went there to this function did I realize where Gen Z in India is headed. I'm absolutely certain that Gen Z in India ultimately is not going to fall in this so-called trap around economy that you have laid. Trapped with words, trapped with wit, trapped with anecdotes. वो आपकी बात सुनते हैं, एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, ताली बजा रहे हैं. लेकिन मैं आपको शर्त लगा रहा हूं, जिस भाषा का, जिस शब्दावली का प्रयोग आप कर रहे हैं, if the same words were to be used by an Uber driver, a hotel manager, a restaurant waiter, a cinema hall usher, a bus conductor, what will happen then? The words that you use, I don't know whether you're married or not. I mean, you're a 27-year-old boy. Tomorrow you may have a family. I mean, what if the van in which your child goes to school, what if the driver of that van uses the same terminologies, uses the same expletives, uses the same words? तब क्या होगा? जरा सोचिए. वो दूरदर्शन पे आता था ना, कभी कभी हिस्ट्री टीचर्स अ लॉट. जरा सोचिए, उसमें म्यूजिक बेड बहुत स्लो होता था. Sometimes important for us to slow down a bit and ask ourselves, क्या कर रहे हो यार? क्यों कर रहे हो? पैसा कमाना है, कमाइए by all means. But please, भैया, एंटरटेन करो, गाली गलौज को एंटरटेनमेंट में मत तब्दील करो. How did you like this video? If you agree with my views on Mr. Samay Raina, the great, then you can drop your comments in the comment section below.